Imagine a cult so powerful that, even after centuries of silence, its echoes can still be heard behind dates, symbols, and traditions many hold sacred. The cult of Mithras, also known as Mithraism, was more than a religion. It was a secret brotherhood that shaped the Roman Empire, and left traces so deep that they may have influenced even the choice of the date we now call Christmas. A particularly striking find is the relief known as the Pteroctony, depicting Mithras slaying a bull, surrounded by zodiac symbols and other animals. Historical sources, like the chronography of 354a, Roman almanac from the 4th century, mention that the festival of Sol Invictus was celebrated exactly on December 25th, marking the winter solstice in the Julian calendar. Renowned historian Bart Ehrman notes in How Jesus Became God that there is no biblical mention of the exact date of Christ's birth. It was only in the 4th century that the Church officially adopted December 25th, coinciding with pagan festivals that celebrated the rebirth of the sun. This strategic choice, according to scholars like Thomas Talley, in The Origins of the Liturgical Year, is a way to Christianize dates that were already popular and couldn't simply be erased. Emperor Aurelian, in 274 AD, officially established the celebration to honor the rising sun triumphing over the year's longest night. The cult was essentially oral, making it difficult to know exactly what was taught in each ceremony. And rituals at the Origins of Yuletide, by Christian Rech and Claudia Muller-Billing, details how the winter solstice was always seen as a time of renewal, rebirth, and the triumph of light. The choice of December 25th, therefore, was less an invention out of nothing and more an adaptation of ancestral symbols. And even Lebanon remained silent witnesses to this cult that once rivaled Christianity for the spiritual heart of the empire. In 1954, excavations in the city of Mariana, Corsica, unearthed an almost intact Mithraeum, further proving the near-global dimension of this religious brotherhood. The image of the unconquered sun reborn, the victory of light over darkness, and the promise of salvation still resonate in modern celebrations, if many are unaware of their true origin. On the Vertex of Time channel, we go beyond dates, investigating symbols, archaeological discoveries, and untold stories that shape the world we know. Subscribe now, turn on notifications, and join us as we explore secrets that have resisted time itself. Because sometimes understanding the past is the only way to truly illuminate the present. Even so, archaeological finds, like dedicatory inscriptions and altar fragments, reveal a pattern of devotion that spread across the Roman Empire, reaching as far as Britain and North Africa. This isn't about denying Christian faith, but about understanding how traditions are built over centuries, absorbing older meanings. Scholar Robert Turkin, in The Cults of the Roman Empire, emphasizes that Mithraism's rapid spread was only surpassed by Christianity, which offered a more inclusive message open to women and children. Such as the triumph of light over darkness helped shape the Christian symbolism of the Savior born to bring light to the world. This truth, documented by scholars and supported by archaeological findings, reveals how politics, faith, and tradition intertwine in shaping history. And 300 AD shows that Mithraism and Christianity coexisted for some time, often occupying the same spaces. Moreover, Roman coins from Aurelian's period depict Sol Invictus with solar rays, highlighting the popularity of this solar deity exactly during the century when Christianity was beginning to establish itself as the empire's official religion. Ulinzi argues that Mithraism had a cosmic character, linked to the movement of constellations and astrology, fascinating to educated Romans and soldiers who saw the sky as a reflection of destiny and hoped to unite with Mithras in eternity after death. In Christianity, baptism and the Eucharist promise the same spiritual redemption. Though there is no direct proof of copying, scholars like Cumont and Beck show that mystery cults, including those of Isis and Mithraisol, already offered this idea of salvation. Before Christianity's rise, many scholars, such as Manfred Claus and the Roman cult of Mithras, point out that Mithraism and the cult of Sol Invictus were deeply intertwined. After all, Mithras was often described as Sol Invictus or directly associated with the sun. Archaeologists like Roger Beck, in The Religion of the Mithras Cult in the Roman Empire, interpret these symbols as representations of cosmic cycles and the power of life over death. Get ready to dive into a narrative filled with mystery, archaeology, historical conspiracies, and revelations that challenge common beliefs. By the end, you will never look at December 25th the same way again. It all begins around the 1st century BC, when Mithraism emerges in Rome, stemming from ancient Persian traditions dedicated to the deity Mithra. This deity, originally revered in Persia around 1400 BC, was seen as the god of light, truth, and contracts. Yet it was within the Roman context that the cult gained its distinctive features. Secret rituals performed in caves called Mithraea, initiations dividing followers into 7 hierarchical grades, and a central message of light's victory over darkness. Historian Franz Cumant, in the classic The Mysteries of Mithra, described these ceremonies in detail, drawing from inscriptions and frescoes discovered in Rome, Stia, and other parts of the empire. These underground temples, whose ruins can still be visited today, like the Mithraeum of San Clemente in Rome, dated to the 2nd century AD, stand as testimony to a cult restricted to men, many of whom were Roman soldiers. But how does all of this connect to December 25th? For that, we need to discuss Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun. The idea of a divine birth on December 25th is not unique to Christianity. Other researchers, like David Uwenzi in The Origins of the Mithric Mysteries, go further, arguing that Mithraism's iconography. Archaeological evidence strengthens this hypothesis. The discovery of the Mithraeum beneath the Basilica of San Clemente, dated between 191, another intriguing point involves the concept of personal salvation. In Mithraism, the initiate took part in sacred banquets, swore loyalty. It's also worth noting the absence of canonical Mithraic texts. Regarding the choice of dates, the book Pagan Christmas, the plant spirits, even historian Sir James Fraser, in his monumental work, The Golden Bough, argued that many Christian elements overlapped with pagan practices to ease conversion. Today, ruins of Mithraea, scattered across Rome, London, Frankfurt, Ostia, among the many theories. One persists. It was no coincidence that Jesus' birth was fixed on the same date Mithras was celebrated as Sol Invictus. Perhaps the most surprising thing is realizing that even after Mithraism's official decline in the 5th century, part of its symbolism survived. If you've stayed with us until now, it means this same curiosity burns within you. So don't stop here.